And well in the Lord, and how the Lord has brought me through many things. I was born a preacher's son in the city of New Orleans back in the early 50s, sometime back, 1952 really. But I was raised up in the St. Thomas projects in the city of New Orleans. It's a bad side of town. Even the police, when they policed the area, there was not one police car out of sight of another police car. And there was gangs, there was little gangs, and there was big gangs. And coming up as a young boy in grammar school, I was scared. I didn't like the violence that was in that area there. And I would run. They had this one little gang of boys that would chase me home every day from school. And I'd hit the door wide open, "Mama, Mama," And one day, Mama met me at the door. And she told them boys, she said, "Y'all want him? Y'all can have him. One-on-one, one at a time." And it was the first time I ever hit anybody. And but I hit that boy so hard I knocked him down. And it really felt good. And Mama, I don't know if it was good or if it was bad what she brought to me at that point in time in my young life. But I grew up not being afraid. All my fear had left. I knew that I could hit just like they could. And of course, my dad was a preacher, a young man. Mom and Dad, they were real young when I was born. And this violence followed me. I learned how to street fight, being in a big city like that. It was in the times of a rough time in this country, even so, with the integration. There was, just blacks and the whites, and there was a lot of street fighting going on. And as a young boy, 8, 9, 10 years old, up till I was 12 years old, that's all I knew. And I hated going to church. Church never did get into me. And so as time went on, of course I had to go to church. I was made to go to church. And but I went on through school. My senior year, I was a senior transfer, and from Louisiana down to here, to Richmond. And that was another really bad time in my life. It seemed like everything in my life was not positive for me. We moved out of the city of New Orleans when I was 12 years old, and went to the country where my dad his parents had a farm, my grandma and grandpa. And my dad bought that farm. He moved us out of the city because I had been picked up by the New Orleans police at the age of 11 and 12 years old 3 times in 1 week. That tells you how bad I was. And so Dad, he bought the dairy farm from his mom and Dad, and I started milking cows 3:30 in the morning, 3:30 in the evening, doing the farm work. I got to playing football, running track, come first train football and track. Got me a little herd of cows through the FFA. Everything was looking good. I still didn't care that much about church. But during those years, probably about 14 or 15 years old, I was in the 9th grade or 10th grade there, somewhere in there. The calling of the Lord come upon me, and I felt they calling. And I'd gotten real sick one night, on a Wednesday night after church, and I seen a healing angel come into our house and touch me and heal me. And it was a true, real healing angel. And the very pain that had struck me in my back was just left immediately. And I started experiencing things like that with the Lord. But I'm full of rebellion, full of mischief as a kid growing up in school, not liking church. my senior year of school, of course, I knew several preachers' daughters, okay, because of my dad being a preacher, revivals and things. And there was this one preacher's daughter that I really liked. And she was going to Bible school in San Antonio, Texas. She was going to go to Bible college. And she taught me into going to Bible college. And so I left and left Ridgeland, went to Bible college. As a teenager, I was smoking. I smoked all my life, really, since I was probably a 7-year-old kid in New Orleans. And my older cousins and things that got me to drinking beer with them. And I would say by the time that I was 16 years old, I was smoking. I had the habit of smoking on a regular basis and drinking on a regular basis. Got the taste of alcohol and got the addictions. I would say that I was addicted to both of those things by the time I was 16 years old, drinking and smoking. All this come along, through being raised up in the city. And by the time I got out of high school, like I said, my not girlfriend, but this girl that I really liked, I went to San Antonio, Texas, to International Bible College. I quit drinking and I quit smoking on my way to college. As I was driving from here to San Antonio. And when it was there, that my life really got changed. We got into chapel services. We had chapel services every morning, and we had to pray and all that. And God filled me with the Holy Ghost, filled me with other tongues and speaking in the heavenly language. And I really developed a relationship at that time in my life. Of course, this one girl, she found another, and I met my wife, whom was raised in the same town back in Louisiana that I married coming out of Bible college. We've been married 43 years now with 2 children. And when I left college, I thought that my wife and I were missionary bound. And we were. We were really excited, going to do a work for the Lord and have a good Christian life, a good family home. But I made one mistake, and it was a real bad mistake. And it cost me 23 years of my life. I got out of the fellowship of Christians. I stopped going to church. I was living with my mother's parents, my grandma and my grandpa, and they were strictly Roman Catholics on that side of the family, Italians, and they loved to drink. And before I know it, I was puffing on that cigarette again. I was drinking that wine, and without my fiance, who is my wife now, knowing it. And I hid these things for that short period of time, but I got out of the fellowship of Christians, of going to church. And it's one thing that we need to always remember in our life. The fellowship of the Christian, the fellowship of the church is something you will always need in your life, because that's where your strength is in the Lord. That's where the joy of the Lord is in your life, and it's in the fellowship of Christians. So I was on a downward spin at that point in my life. Got married, and on our honeymoon, halfway down to Orlando, Florida from Louisiana. We got married in Louisiana. I had that nicotine habit that I couldn't hide no longer.